Birthday Omnibus Part 7, let's keep going. What's the last piece of media that genuinely moved me? Well, it depends on what you mean by move. Last piece of media that made me angry was the last issue of One World Under Doom. I have a bunch of other videos about that. Last piece of media that made me, cry, bawl my eyes out? Probably in Stars in Time. Favorite video game, and would I ever do video game content playing the game like streaming? Favorite video game is Chrono Trigger, but again, I'm trying not to do doubles, so now I'm gonna recommend Breath of Fire 4. And would I do streaming? I would love to do streaming. I did streaming beforehand. The problem, and I mentioned this in another video, is that content creation doesn't pay all my bills, so I have to take side jobs. And if I'm going to take away time from those side jobs to stream, then I'm gonna lose money. So the way that I'm doing this is I have my Patreon set up, and as we hit, tiers of monthly donations, then I'm going to start quitting my side jobs and using that revenue from Patreon to do other things, like streaming. We are at 179 right now. At 250, I'm going to do a complete Discord revamp so that it's actually usable and fun to be a part of and not a wasteland. Is there any interactive science game I could recommend? I highly recommend A Slower Speed of Light. It was made by researchers at MIT, and it shows you what actually moving at relativistic speeds would be like. What was my most memorable birthday? Sadness warning. It was the birthday that shortly beforehand my grandfather died, and I asked them to please not hold the wake on my birthday. And my parents did anyway. That really sucked. How dare I use Outer Wilds music? Still makes you tear up. Because sometimes you just gotta remember, What game genre / mashup would I like to see? Like MMO, but with Final Fantasy 12 party system, or Pokemon short auto chess, or something like that. I am a slut for games about time loops, especially narrative games about time loops. I want to see more of that shit. In Stars in Time did it great. Undertale was basically a time loop game. Give me more fucking RPGs with time loops. What is my favorite indie game? For the love of God, I'm asking you guys to play Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass. Please. It's $15 on Steam right now. Just please go play it. It's so good. Is there a specific power system that I personally like? I like the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure power system. The reason being is that there's only one rule. If you could convince a 5-year-old that the power works, then it works. My power is to control the weather, and the weather is that you hallucinate so much that you become snails. Fucking love that shit. What lesser-known video game would I suggest people play? I beg of you to play Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass. I'm begging you. I'll get on my knees if you want. But also Void Stranger. Void Stranger and Zero Ranger, they both go together, and they're both very, very good and underappreciated. What is my favorite fast food restaurant? So I have had this discussion with my friends a lot. The question is, what do you count as fast food? Does it have to be like a McDonald's, Burger King, or Wendy's? Or can we branch out into stuff like, Subway? Can we go even further out to Five Guys? Or can we do local places like Dark Side of the Moon? Of the big three, McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's is my favorite. And I like their spicy chicken sandwich. But if you get to extend from there, the original The Sandwich that I made from Subway, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, spinach, hot peppers, onions, sweet onion sauce, chipotle sauce, and that new crunch stuff that they have. And if you could go even further out, local fast food places, I love Dark Side of the Moo. It's my favorite burger place. Because you could get a burger made out of a camel. And that shit's cool. What is my favorite thing that's been invented in my lifetime? The smartphone. It lets me do my job. If I could live in any anime cartoon universe, which one would I want to live in? I'd still just be me. I wouldn't get access to any special powers unless they were universal to the verse. Star Trek, easily. Complete post-scarcity, baby. Happy birthday, my guy. What's a piece of advice you could give for anyone you've ever met? Do the thing. If you're doing something creative, just do it. Don't wait. Don't try and make it perfect. Just do it. Just get it done and move on to the next thing. The feeling of inadequacy, the feeling of people thinking that they need to be perfect is what prevents them from being successful. There are stupid-ass, mediocre white boys out there that have all the confidence in the world and succeed just because they're doing it, while everyone else is I don't think I'm good enough to do it. Whatever the thing is, just do it. Just do it. Just get it done. Doesn't need to be perfect. Doesn't even need to be good. And then do the next thing. And then do the next thing. Eventually, something fucking sticks. Have I played Metro, and which one is my favorite? The original Metro Last Light, but specifically I actually do kind of like Metro Last Light Redux, the remake. But it's the thing I've always wanted to do, but never had the courage to do. Go into a food business. Like, I'd like to actually sell my homemade hot sauces at some point, but there's so much money that goes into that, and so much red tape. It's harder than you think. The problem is, hot sauces don't fall under the cottage laws. Like, I could bake brownies and sell them to people pretty easily, but since people can harm themselves with hot sauces, there's a lot of other problems and a lot of other hoops that I need to jump through. What's my opinion on Cars 2? Cars 1 raised several existential questions, and Cars 2 did nothing to answer them. Could I give you a tour of my comic merch? I unfortunately don't have much. As I said in previous videos, I had to move like 7 times in 10 years. And throughout those moves, my comic merch has basically been destroyed or discarded. Hell, even this last time I moved, I had a bunch of figures that were like still in their box, and the movers fucking ripped them all apart. In my videos, you could see in the background, like, Joker figurine up on my TV stand, stuff like that. Like, I have like 4 things left. It's sad. How do I feel about generative AI art, its role in the future of society, and whether it's right or wrong to use it now? So I think it's a tool, and I don't think that tools can be good or bad. But I think right now the tools are in the hands of the worst capitalists ever, and I think it's pretty much wrong to use it now because they've basically made it the worst thing you could possibly think of. But like, as a concept, I don't really have a problem with the idea of type something into a prompt and get something out of it. Like that's Star Trek replicator technology, right? That's post-scarcity technology. Like, that's really cool, but it's only cool if you don't steal from people or hurt people or harm the environment by using it. And there are ways to do that, except we're not doing it because we live in a capitalist hellhole. So I, applaud the people who are trying to do it ethically. That usually comes from libraries. But like OpenAI, anything Sam Altman does, fuck that guy. Happy birthday, how tall am I? I am 6'4" and change. Happy birthday, could you tell me how I chose my profile pic? I went over the story in a previous video, but I'll tell it again. One of my side gigs is I help out a Chilean comic book artist, Oscar Cabrera. It's basically my job to localize his comics so that they are readable in English. I know enough Spanish, plus I've been a professional writer for 20 years, so I can make that happen. Anyway, he has several different comic book universes. One is one with a whole bunch of different mutants. And so it was like, what sort of mutant would I want to be? And I chose a Spider-Girl. And that's my character representation in his world. And so I use it for my profile pics across, all platforms. Because, it is a unique character that is drawn in only that style. And so whenever you find that character, you know it's me. What made me want to get into content creation? Abject fear of a 9-to-5 job. And how does it feel to have so many fans who love your videos? Honestly, it's helped. It's helped a lot. I have the depressions, I have the anxiety, I have the ADHD, but every so often someone sends me a random message and is just like, man, your videos help me get through the day. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. I made a difference in someone's life. So it feels fulfilling. And for the most part, the fulfilling feeling outweighs, most of the awful people on the internet. Can I recommend a SodaStream alternative? The Drinkmate Omnifizz. Not sponsored, I just love this shit. If I could rule the world, what would I do? Dismantle all hierarchies, redistribute all wealth. Establish universal healthcare, universal basic income, universal housing. And stop ruling the world, because that's a hierarchy. Who would win, a snail or a caterpillar in the fight to the death? Depends on the snail and depends on the caterpillar. Different varieties are more or less venomous and have more or less tools to win a fight. Come back to me with more info, and I'll give you a more definitive answer. What's one anime that's a guilty pleasure for me, like I keep rewatching for no reason? I don't actually rewatch media all that much. And it has to be a guilty pleasure, like it's not good. I'm going to say Crystal Triangle and back away very slowly. Given absolute power, absolute obedience for every institution, how would I rule the world? Hey, I said it before. No more billionaires, eat the rich. Explain why biology is greater than physics is greater than chemistry. Personally, I am a physics head, but I will state Biology is very important because it's the thing that most closely affects us as living beings. More so than physics and more so than chem. And that is important.